Okay, this is another carbine versus handgun chronograph session, this time to see how much velocity advantage the longer barrel of a carbine gives when you're working with an old, low-pressure load like 45 Colt. I've clocked a few loads from 45 Colt in the past, but never really in an organized way and never with these guns. This is an 18-inch U-Birdie 1873 carbine, or short rifle they call it, I guess, and a 4.2-inch Ruger Red Hawk. So that's what we're working with today. And I'll try to keep this one moving along a little better than the first one did. That one had some hiccups with the chronograph and just some dead spots. So I'll keep this one moving, hopefully. Sorry about that. And just like with the other test, this one, since it involves numerous loads out of two different guns, I'm just going to do a couple of loads of each load out of each gun. Otherwise, it'll just go on and on. So again, you'll see the chronograph results the same time I do. And as we get them, I'll enter them into the spreadsheet on my laptop. And after the clocking all the loads, I'll put the laptop on camera so you can see what each gun got with each load and what it averaged and all that happy stuff. So what we're working with today, as far as the 5 different loads we've got. Winchester 250 grain lead flat nose, Blazer 200 grain jacketed hollow point. I'm not sure if this load is even still made. That's an old load I've had a long time and just haven't shot many of. The Barnes 200 grain solid copper hollow point. That is a really, really good load historically in my other guns. Now these last two, I've never fired a single round of them in my life. The first one is the Underwood, 135 grain Extreme Defender, the Phillips screwdriver bullet. They're claiming 1,410 feet per second out of a handgun. We'll see what it actually gets and what it gets out of the carbine. And this Liberty Civil Defense, that is a really light bullet. I'm assuming it's aluminum just from the looks of it. 78 grains, where most 45 Colt load, bullets run at least 200 up to 255 and sometimes even 300. They're claiming, if you can see that, 1,800 feet per second, again presumably out of a handgun. So we'll just have to test them, see what we do. 4-inch Ruger Red Hawk. One of the neat things about this Red Hawk is the cylinder is actually cut so it can use pretty much any rimmed or rimless 45 caliber round, up to a certain pressure. You can't use 454s out of it, but 45 Colt, 45 ACP is what it's really sold as, and it would use numerous others that I've checked out in it. 45 Gap, 45 Schofield, ones that I really have no use for, but just out of curiosity. And that's the really pretty U-Birdie 1873. So anyway, let's get it moving here. So you can see that. Okay, this is the Winchester 250 grain lead. Here we go from the Ruger Red Hawk. And of course I got an error right off the bat. 603, that's crazy. That has got to be an error. I'm going to reset that chronograph. Well, so much for moving things along fast and smooth. Okay, one more time. The Winchester 250 lead out of the Red Hawk. There's no way. I guess I should believe it, but that's just hard to accept. That is crazy slow. One more. Okay, we'll go with that. Put that in the spreadsheet. Okay, now same load, Winchester 250. Out of the Birdie, and I'm just going to single feed these. 830. I'm kind of wondering if the temperature is again playing a part, because it is really cold today. It's in the mid-30s here. 843. That doesn't seem reasonable. And of course, I didn't write down the first one. So again, Winchester 250 from the Birdie. 821. I'm going to take its word for that, but that does not seem reasonable. Okay, the next one up is the Blazer 200 grain jacketed hollow point. Yeah, these rounds are really cold. They've been outside for about a half hour, so they're darn near freezing. So that could very well be a factor. Okay, so the Blazer 200 grain jacketed hollow point from the 4-inch Red Hawk. Now that's more what I expected. 885 and 878. And from the carbine, the Blazer 200, 1199. And 1196. Okay, the next one up is the Barnes 200 grain solid copper hollow point. It's a little more modern load than those first couple. So the Barnes 200 grain solid copper out of the 4-inch Red Hawk. 851 and 855. These guns are a lot slower to reload for the next round than the Glock and the AR were. Okay. The Barnes 200 grainer from the carbine. 1102. And 1138. Well, what the crap. And of course I'm having a computer issue, so y'all hang on. 1138, okay. Okay, now we're getting to the really outside the box loads. These are the Winchester, I'm sorry, the Underwood Extreme Defender 135s from the Red Hawk 1305. And 1225. Interesting. Okay, now the Underwood 135 Extreme Defender from the carbine. Again, 18-inch Uberti carbine barrel. 1688. That's quite a jump. And 1684. Very consistent. Okay. Now the last load is that Liberty Civil Defense. Out of the Red Hawk. These things feel like I'm picking up empty cases or something. They're so lightweight. Liberty 78 grain from the Ruger. 4-inch barrel. 1684. Good grief. That's a little hard to believe. I'm going to try one more. I'm going to reset that. Okay. Okay, I reset the chronograph. The Liberty 78 from the 4-inch handgun again. What's the deal? Now, that thing was behaving all day earlier. This is one of the blazers, just so I don't keep burning up the Liberties. Okay. Not picking up that little bitty light bullet. Okay, one more try for the Liberty out of the revolver. Like I said, one more try for the Liberty out of the revolver. Just such a light bullet. Well, it's just not going to pick that up, evidently. So, reset that one last time. It's not liking these really light and really fast Liberties, I guess. See if they feed out of the rifle. They load easy enough. My hands weren't freezing. Okay, these are the Liberty 78 grain civil defense out of the 18-inch carbine. 2377. $23.67. Okay. Now let me get the laptop out of here. Okay, there you can go. So that's what we're looking at with your standard 250 grain lead bullet load. Boy, that seems low. 193 foot-pounds from the handgun and not quite 400 from the carbine. I got to take the machine's word for it, but I'd like to try that again and just confirm that. The Blazer 200 grain jacketed hollow point is more along the lines of what I expected. 881 feet per second. I'm sorry, 881 feet per second from the pistol, and right at 1200 almost from the carbine. So from the carbine, again, you're getting 636 foot-pounds of energy, which is, again, higher than the 10 millimeter handgun load and plenty capable for a whole lot of things, especially when you figure it's just a 45 Colt. It's nothing exotic or high pressure. The Barnes was a little surprising. It was actually slower than the Blazer, but it may have been colder. The Blazer I just brought out from the house. The Barnes has been sitting out all morning while I was debating doing this as cold as it is today, so that may or may not have been a factor. But again, 855 from the revolver and 1120 from the rifle, so that's still a 70%, 71% increase in muzzle energy. Sorry if I was yelling. I had my hearing protectors on until just now. The Underwood Extreme Defender from the handgun, that's about what I expected, 1285. It's such a light bullet. It's a 135 grain bullet. You know, it's half the bullet weight, or a little more than a typical 45 Colt load. So yeah, 480 foot-pounds of energy from the handgun, but 850 foot-pounds from the carbine. That is impressive. I mean, that's solidly in 44 Magnum territory. 44 Magnum handgun, anyway. The last one, the Liberty 78, that thing was scooting, which is to be expected, you know. Not quite 1,700 feet per second from the handgun, which is darn close to their claimed 1,800. Maybe they're testing out of a 6-inch barrel or something. I'm shooting a 4-inch. Out of the 18-inch barrel, 2,372 feet per second average. Okay, 974 foot-pounds of energy. That buries a 44 Magnum handgun as far as power. Okay, now I'd have a little bit of qualms using a 78 grain bullet and 45 Colt, because I don't know that I'd trust it to get adequate penetration on the kind of game you'd be using a 45 on. But for defensive use, where you don't need tons of penetration, it might be worth considering and doing some actual gel tests and stuff to see how it actually does. One thing I'd really point out on this is, as high as these numbers are, we've got 970 foot-pounds, 850 foot-pounds. None of these loads are, you know, plus P. Yeah, don't jump on me in the comments. I know there's no such thing as plus P in 45 Colt. But they're not overpressure. They're not the Ruger, you know, Thompson Center only loads. According to the manufacturers, these are safe in any functional 45 Colt firearm, even an old antique gun. Again, a modern gun like the Red Hawk or a 1892 carbine or one of the Henrys or something can handle a whole lot more pressure than these are putting out. So again, this is just to see what the carbine does compared to the revolver, and I am really impressed. I'm seriously considering buying a box or two of some of the heavy loaded ammo, the carbine, buffalo bore, that if they say they're safe in a 73 action, and try them. But anyway, thanks, and there we go. I hope some of y'all find this information helpful, or at least interesting. Appreciate it.